We're just gonna dive into it, my dudes. So we are continuing to work on improvements for Path of Exile 2. Patch 0.2.1 is in active deployment, and we are aiming to deploy it at the end of next week. Find out more about the improvements this patch contains below. Let's dive into it, my dudes. Endgame rewards. When setting up the frequency of encounters and rewards for Path of Exile 2, we have to decide how many maps players will have to do in order to get them. After extensive playtesting, we now believe that we overshot this number pretty substantially. In 0.20G, we improved the baseline experience of getting rewards from monsters and chests, but we still feel you don't get enough of those exciting spike moments when something very powerful or valuable drops. There are actually some very cool items to find, but you won't ever find them because they are incredibly rare. One of the major focuses of 0.2.1 is making chase items more common, but also adding more chase items to find. Interesting. Unique items. In 0.2.1, we are going to be significantly improving both the drop rates of the incredibly rare unique items we already have, as well as adding a bunch of new, exciting and chase uniques that will take your builds to new heights. Bro, I'm getting hyped. We are also buffing some of the rarer uniques that were intended to be chase, but didn't live up to the standard. You should see significantly more chase uniques than before, and we will be doing a post showing some of the new uniques next week. Okay, so that's it for unique items, my dudes. Moving on to crafting socketables. One of the issues that we have with the socketable crafting system at the moment is that by the time you get to endgame, there isn't really anything new or exciting to find to socket into your gear. Resists and attributes are great to help with solving problems in the early game, but in endgame, ideally, you should be swapping all of these out for more interesting and powerful mods. In 0.2.1, we're adding 22 new runes, 14 new soul cores, and 7 new talismans. These cover a full spectrum from being powerful to insane, but are rare to find. You will certainly want to use them over the normal base set of socketables. Interesting, so they will be adding new socketables to primarily the end game, I guess, for end game use. Rare and powerful ones, my dudes. Rare and powerful ones. Moving on to changes to Ritual. Ritual also suffered from us pitching the chase rewards too rare as well. We are making the rarer omens from Ritual more common. You will be seeing the same number of omens, but they have a significantly higher probability of being the rarer, more exciting ones. Interesting? Interesting. Moving on to corrupted essences. While we are at it, we will also be increasing the commonality of getting corrupted essences when using Val orbs on monsters trapped in essences by approximately... Excuse me, guys. This actually choked me up. By approximately 6 times? Wow, that's really interesting. Moving on to the Rogue Exiles. Rogue Exiles just didn't have enough unique items, so we are increasing the frequency that Rogue Exiles have and thus drop unique items by approximately 3 times. So they're going to be like the unique drops from the Rogue Exiles are going to be multiplied by 3. Interesting. Or the chance to drop them. Twisted Domain. The boss in the Twisted Domain was pretty valuable, but as an endgame area, the rest of it was pretty underwhelming compared to the other content you are doing at the time. Pinnacle content shouldn't be giving less rewards than the dozens of maps required to gain access to it. To start with, we have substantially increased the number of rare monsters that spawn during the domain. Previously, there would often be no rare monsters at all. In addition, we have changed the balance of quantity and rarity that monsters in the domain have. This will mean that the large drop of items that occurs right before the boss fight should now be way more valuable than before. Interesting. We now also guarantee some rare breach rings in the resulting drop. So you should come away with at least a decent chance of some powerful items. Interesting. Moving on to improvements, oh my god, well, this is a beefy one. Expedition logbooks. One of the things that makes logbooks unrewarding is the fact that at very high levels, they have so few monsters spawning that they often end up yielding significantly less items than just a regular endgame map. This is reflected in the fact that at low level 90s, you could do an entire level 80, the highest possible level, logbook, and not even gain 1% of level of experience. We're doing a pass on the amount of monsters spawning to intensify the combat, but focusing on very high level ones to better match the consistency of other endgame content. The first change is that we are increasing the distance between explosives and the radius of explosives. This will allow you to ultimately uncover more monsters and rewards. On top of this, we are also increasing the number of monsters spawned to be more reflective of what endgame map has in it. Of what an endgame map has in it. Okay. Additionally, we're also making changes to the specific features found in each of the different logbook areas. Interesting. The Lush Isle area currently has Karui totem remnants that causes the monsters to give substantially increased experience. It also has fenced off areas where you can explode the fence and gain access to totems that drop a lot of currency items, and on the beaches there are small corrupted pustules that drop uncut skill gems. Interesting. In order to improve this area, we are increasing the number of remnants, especially the experience ones. Additionally, we will generate more of the fenced off sections, and a larger chance to the pustules will be made where destroying any of them will cause all monsters unearthed afterwards to spawn corruption monsters on death, similar to those in the corrupted areas on the Atlas. Combined with the base changes to drastically increase the number of base monsters spawned during logbooks, it is intended that Lush Isle provides a very good source of experience. The Frigid Bluff logbooks is an icy tundra with Val architecture and many Val monsters and Val remnants frozen in time. Aside from the traditional expedition monsters and chests, you can also explode these Val objects free. The problem is these are relatively underwhelming. There are few monsters, and they are not any more rewarding than normal expedition monsters. And on top of that, the remnants just cause the monster's drop to be corrupted, which is more arguably a downside than otherwise. We're making a couple of changes here. On the top of the Val monsters, we are now going to have some Val bosses, frozen in time too. These are standalone map bosses that can be broken out and fought. all the remnant modifiers will apply to them as normal. The Val remnants that caused items to drop corrupted are being reworked. Now they will generate with 1 to 3 upsides and 1 to 3 downsides that normal remnants have. Think of them as just a super remnant. The Barren Atoll logbook is an atoll that sea travelers and fishermen have used to store their treasures and supplies. The area currently has crates filled with gold, strongboxes, and azomite runes. The issue is that the crates drop far too little gold and there are far too few strongboxes and runes. After our changes, the crates are going to drop a significant amount more gold, and we are going to generate a lot more strongboxes, and by a lot, I mean over 10 times as many. Bro, that's insane. Of which could be unique strongboxes too. The azomite runes, aside from already adding rarity to all subsequently unearthed monsters, will now drop 2 to 4 additional runes instead of the existing 1. Given we are adding some new chase rune drops, this may prove to be a good source to get them. All of these special features found in the specific logbook areas are also being added to the minimap, so you can see where they are and plan well before starting to place your chain of explosives. Very interesting. So a lot of focus on the logbooks, it seems, this patch. Moving on, my dudes, endgame content and variety improvements. A second main focus is that we are going to increase the variety of running endgame maps. Right now, did you know that if you were to generate 400,000 maps, that 150,000 of them would be Hidden Grotto? We are certainly sick of running that area and fighting that same boss on repeat. The intention here is to normalize the frequency that different maps and thus boss fights appear on the atlas. This will make things feel far less repetitive when playing the endgame, especially for many, many hours. Citadel spawning has been adjusted. Now, whenever a citadel is generated on the altar, it also ensures that it generates the 2 other types of citadels near it. This will prevent cases that we have been seeing where players would, due to the whims of random generation, get many of the same citadels, one after another, and never be able to fight the Arbiter of Ash, especially when not in Trade League. Both these changes to Atlas layouts won't apply to areas of the Atlas that you have already revealed. In order to get the improvements, you will need to explore further away into parts of the Atlas that haven't been generated yet. Additionally, you can expect some other endgame improvements, such as reducing the danger of 2 of the ritual types that were just a ruckus of purple chaos explosions, and reducing the danger and increasing the telegraphing of the volatile plant monster modifier. Combined, these were responsible for over half of all players' deaths in endgame. Oh my Buddha. Yeah, those freaking plants. Oh my god. We are also lowering some of the more dangerous map modifiers, like elemental penetration, to be more in line with others, improving the rewards and visibility of omens in the Viridian Wildwood unique map, increasing the radius to open clasp hands in breaches, thank you very much, reducing the pack size of the bats that shotgun you with projectiles in the Twisted Domain, and reworking the curse map mods to have counterplay. These are just some of the more isolated improvements coming. Okay. Moving on, my dudes. Excuse me. Moving on to the Trial of the Sekomas changes. Okay. In Trial of the Sequoias, we're adjusted the affliction that caused you to have no energy shield to instead half your energy shield. Okay. This is for chaos inoculation builds so that when they randomly get this affliction, the run isn't effectively over. Well, good change. On top of this, we discovered a mistake with the chances of getting certain afflictions and boons. Specifically, there was one affliction, two minor boons, one major boon, and one pact that had 100 times the commonality they should have. This would have caused players to constantly be getting them as the first randomly generated outcome. And as these boons were in particular the weaker and more boring ones, it would often have made the runs less rewarding and interesting. Well, thank you for the changes to the Trial of Sequoias. Moving on, my dudes. Quality of life and user experience changes. We did some notable quality of life improvements in 0.2.0H, but there are more coming. We have a huge improvement to searching on the passive tree when using keyboard and mouse. Okay, well, I think that works kind of good as it is, but I guess it's getting even better, my dudes. Now, when you search for passives by typing in the text field, you can press enter to automatically find and go to that passive. If there are multiple passives found in your search, then continuing to press enter will cycle through them. It also darkens the rest of the passive tree to help bring the search nodes to the foreground, making them much easier to see. Well, I mean, that's cool. A huge request has been that we invert the display of tier X on items when using advanced item display. This is so that you can immediately identify if a modifier is the best it can be on an item. This is more for advanced and endgame players, but it's very important to be able to quickly assess the true power of an item or if it's an appropriate crafting base. We are swapping this back to work the same way as Path of Exile 1. Interesting. On the Atlas, when you hover a map, it will separate the categories of modifiers displayed so you can more easily see where those modifiers are coming from. Specifically, you can now determine if they're from corrupted or cleansed influence in one category, and if they are from towers in another category. This will make it clearer when looking for specific modifiers like +1 level in corrupted influenced areas. There is also a performance improvement coming. We are optimizing the physics on monsters and NPCs across the game. This is making them significantly cheaper and will cause less CPU-bound bottlenecks on performance. This issue isn't prevalent everywhere, but is common in areas with lots of humans, such as the Faradon in Act 2 or in Freythorn in Act 1. We will continue to optimize these incrementally in every patch as we find all the suboptimal cases. We also added some improvements to the shop and cosmetics panel, including an Equip Now button when purchasing microtransactions, and added a new skin slot on the cosmetic page. For some future microtransactions, that will replace your base character skin or model. Conclusion. We've also added some improvements to the shop and cosmetics panel, including an Equip Now. Conclusion. That summarizes our 0.2.1 patch that we're hoping to deploy at the end of next week, but are keeping flexible as it might fall into the week afterwards. We will keep you updated with further changes and post some specifics on uniques and socketables between now and then. Thank you very much. Okay, my dudes, that's it for the patch update. So they are saying the plan is for this patch to deploy at the end of next week, but it could be the week after. So I would, to be honest, I would think that it's gonna be in 2 weeks. That's just my opinion. Like, just because of the experience of how these patches have been. Like, so if they are saying it's gonna be this week or the next, it's probably gonna be the next. Okay, my dudes. So I just wanted to stop by, hop in your feed, let you know about this new update, and I would just like to say thank you ever so much for watching.